Activity 2. This one is so much fun. What you're going to do in this activity is you're going to go through and you're going to investigate your designs. This is where you're going to look back in your photo folder. Now, if you don't take photos on the job, please, please, please take the time. I know it can be stressful to take time to take pictures on the job. You've got a line of kids waiting and everybody's like worried about it. And so what you can do is you can just add it to your thing. We take time to get the face ready. We take time to paint the design. We take a mirror moment. And so you can just say, okay, guys, photo moment. Mom and dad, take your picture. Do you mind if I grab one too? And so you're showing there is value in capturing this memory, and not only for them, but for you. And so you start with, hey, this is for you, and can I tag along? The design and the face painting, you have been in the front seat. This is your chance to be in the back seat. So as you go through your photos, activity 2, we are going to look for green. And I want you to pay attention to any time green shows up in your work. And then you can think, okay, how would this be different if I used more green? You want to see all the times that you're using green in your work, and you'll learn this is what green does for me. This is what green has done for me in the past. Then you're ready for activity 3. All right, you guys, we're ready for activity 3. Activity 3 is awesome because what we're going to do is we are going to take some of the designs that we use all the time and we're going to use green. This is where we can push ourselves to go into a new direction. Now that you've had a chance to look at the designs where you always use green, we want to take a look at designs we never use green in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a little unicorn for us. And I want to show you guys how incredible green is as a hair color for unicorns. I wish we were together and I would have you guys raise your hands. Be like, raise your hand if you've ever painted a green unicorn. But here we go. So we start with a circle and then we do a little second circle. I like to think of this as the shape of a pear. So we have the small portion, the large portion, and they're all circles. Then we're going to come up here and we're going to do another circle. And this is the neck of that unicorn. I'm using a Star Blends powdered white. It just makes it go so easy. And then I like to go halfway through my circle. I'm cutting my big circle right in half and I just go straight up. And that's going to be the horn of my unicorn. Okay, so we've got our base down. Now we are ready for that all-important mane. So I like to use a filbert for my unicorn hair. It just gives it a nice round, exciting shape. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab this kind of rainbowy color for us. Let's load that up. Now you can see that my filbert is grabbing all of the cool half of the rainbow, and that's gonna just be awesome. This is like a pastel peacock. When you're doing a one stroke, it's really useful to do your first stripe there. Oh my goodness, she looks so good already. And then reverse your brush and do the same stripe, but it ends up being like, now we've got a pattern of green, blue, purple, purple, blue, green. And it just makes it thicker and more vibrant. Okay, now we're gonna reverse it and we're gonna pull that down. Reverse it again and pull it down. And then of course, depending on where this is at on the face, we can do all kinds of funky fun things with the mane, but there we go, good enough. And we don't even need to finish this unicorn. I will, but you can see like green is awesome here. And instead of outlining with black for the mane, like I typically do, we can always use a darker tone of any of the colors in the hair. So whatever color you're trying to highlight, if it's purple, use purple. If it's pink, use pink, whatever that is. But I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna load up my green. And then just like before, I want it to be a little bit of a deeper color. So I'm gonna hop over into my blue and then go back to my green. And I'm just making a shade that I'm happy with. It also creates a uniqueness to your designs because you can never perfectly replicate that. So here we come. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do thin to thick to thin and just add a few lines. I'm not trying to outline anything necessarily. I'm just following the same flow that was laid down by my one stroking. Kind of like putting in some strands of hair. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a lighter green. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna load up just the more Kelly green color. And remember, this big mess I'm making on my cake, a single, like, go over it once or twice with a flat brush, it'll all be gone. Now, I've gone with my thin to thick to thin. I love adding teardrops into my mains. So I just do like a chunky end and pull it up. And I'm still making sure that those teardrops follow the flow of that initial lay down, but we just go thick and then pull up thin. If you like to do the reverse, that totally works as well. But this will give it a wild aspect. Think of these almost as like unicorn dreadlocks. Of course, unicorns would have dreadlocks. They're always running through the forest. Wouldn't that be amazing? Okay, so here we go. Unicorn dreadlocks up on the top, and we're good. Now this hair is one of a kind. No other unicorn looks exactly like this one. Even if we do the same technique over and over, every one is going to end up being an individual. And that is what I love about face painting. Okay, let's just add a few little details to our gorgeous unicorn here. I'm just getting some black and I'm just working it up to an inky consistency so that we're ready for outlining. Okay, and here we go. So I like to just come up to the top of my ear and I just use teardrops in my outlining. Instead of trying to keep the width consistent, that is miserable with a brush. Brushes like to do thin and thick. So you start where you want the anchor to be, and that's where you start thick, and then you just go out thin from there. A simple little scalloped edge is what I like to put on the bottom of my unicorn horn like that. And then you want to maintain this little swoop. So we come and we do a little swoop right there for the nose. And then we do our first little bump. And I always tuck a smile with all of my little unicorns because it just makes them look so happy. We do a little nostril. I love my nostrils. And then here comes the jaw. Now with the jaw, you want to make sure it comes clear into the back of the head. You don't want your jaw to end here. You got to give it the full thing. If you look at a real horse, man, those jaws are one of the most beautiful curves in the whole world. And then always tuck in your little neck. Those necks are important. We don't want floating heads. So we've got our little neck there. And we are ready for the eye. Oh my gosh, so much stress, right? This is where we get nervous, but you don't have to. Eyes are not so bad. All we're gonna do is a thin to thick to thin line, and we totally can handle that. So we're just gonna come right here. We're gonna go thin to thick to thin. Gives us a nice little eyelash, and then bring down a little sideline right there. That tells us this is the end of the eye. The eye is always about in the middle of the jaw. We wanna make sure the jaw goes behind the eye. And then we put in a pupil. There we go. And I like to have a few more lashes. So you can choose if you want to do lashes above or below. I love a good lower lash. So I'm going to just do some crazy lower lashes there. Oh my goodness, this unicorn is ready for a party. And then I usually like to add a little top line. This is just kind of maybe an eyebrow, maybe the top of the lid. I don't know, but it's beautiful. Okay, here's our little wild unicorn. She is ready to, you know, go to the forest fairy party. Love it, love it. But I love the white detailing. So let's make sure we don't forget that. Load it up, make it inky. So great. Now, when you have a powder, sometimes the horn can end up looking a little bit lackluster. So I'll just throw in some little teardrops, just running right down that horn. Just gives it a nice little highlight the ear. And then I always like to highlight with white the little circle I left blank because that really helps it be bright and beautiful. Now, I love to add circles to my work. You can tell we've got a circle here, we've got a circle, so many circles. With my line work, I am constantly adding circles as well. So we're just gonna come in here with this white and just throw another layer and do these beautiful circles. Swirls, spirals, it doesn't really matter, but we just want that freedom and that whimsy. Look at her, she is just going crazy now. And we can even throw a couple like off. So now it's like magical and not just hair. And this unicorn is now ready to take her place in the magic world of fairydom. I absolutely love it. Okay, but you guys, this incredible unicorn, what color is she? She's green. Like, who knew, right? Don't trap green inside expected places. Let it burst and grow, because when you leave an abandoned building, what happens? Oh my gosh, green stuff grows on it, right? Green is such a gorgeous color. Find out where it can grow into your designs. Now that we've